is designed to give you an update on our upcoming school year, the 2020-2021 school year at Mountaineer Montessori, and to let you know all the work that's been done so far in preparation for the school and what you can expect going forward. It's likely that you may have some questions and some comments and some input at the conclusion of this presentation. So if you would like, please take some notes throughout and just drop me an email and I'll share any ideas or questions you have with the task force. We'd love to have your input. So let's go ahead and get started here. There will be four main topics I'll be talking about during this presentation. The first is how we are working, who's working on this process, and what we're doing to prepare for the school year ahead. The second area is what we are planning. Of course, what I share with you this evening is still in the planning phases. We have several more weeks before school is set to open, but I want to share with you right now the different scenarios that we're looking at and considering for the opening of the school year. Next, I'll talk about what you can expect going forward from now to the start of the school year and beyond. And finally, I'm going to discuss how we will succeed together in the year ahead. So those are the four main areas we'll be discussing during this presentation. And the first is how we are working. So in this process of planning for the school year ahead, there are many layers of planning to achieve. And the first is kind of the central piece of it, which is the school administration. Beth and I are here every day working almost exclusively on planning for the year ahead. We are participating in webinars with American Montessori Society and other independent school groups. We are touring facilities to see about finding extra space to spread out our students. We are looking at scheduling of groups on the playground and groups in different areas of the school. We're considering all kinds of modifications to our physical space and to our routines and procedures that will help us to finalize plans in order to adhere to safety guidelines and health guidelines. There's just a number of things that we are working through day by day as we get closer to the school year as a central administrative group. And then we have our reentry task force, which is made up of parents and board members and other staff members and Beth and myself also. And that task force has within it several subcommittees. So they are meeting as well, and we are meeting with them and dividing up some of the work of investigating different possibilities to allow us to reopen school safely. And then on top of all that is the board of directors. The board met this past Friday to look over the draft plan for reentry, and the board is very involved in our planning and in knowing what's going on and figuring out how they can best support all the different things that need to happen to be able to open safely for our children and families. With our planning, we are following four guiding principles throughout. So that means that every decision we make in regarding the 2020-2021 school year, whether that decision be a big decision or a small decision or a fine detail, we want to make sure that it is in alignment with these guiding principles. And the first of these is safety. The safety of our students and our staff and our families and our Montessori community is of utmost importance and is our top priority. So anything that we're considering doing, we need to look at it in regard to current guidelines and recommendations from the CDC, the Kanawha Charleston Health Department, and the West Virginia Division of Health and Human Resources. These are our three main bodies that we go to for guidance and for recommendations and regulations. We are following currently with our summer program guidelines, recommendations, and requirements from those three groups. And we have found that it's going very smoothly in the summer program, and we feel comfortable in what we've learned in regard to the safety guidelines that we're implementing with the summer program. Our second guiding principle is Montessori learning. So again, as we look at different ways to arrange the school and different adaptations and modifications we can make, we always want to keep an eye on how does this fit with Montessori philosophy. Because as a Montessori school, of course, that's very important to us, and we know it's important to you as well. We know from our Montessori training how children learn and what types of things they need to have in place in the environment to really enhance and allow that learning to happen naturally. So we don't ever want to do anything that would be in conflict with our Montessori principles. This is a little tricky, of course, with the safety requirements, because it does mean that at least temporarily, some of our typical routines and pieces of independence may need to be altered. But again, we have to keep the safety at the forefront and then run it through the filter of how does this fit with our Montessori philosophy. So we're constantly evaluating that, and we'll be working as a team going forward to continue to have those two things fit together as best we possibly can. Our third guiding principle is our partnership with you. We are going to be in close contact with you from now to the start of the year and beyond. We will at times be just kind of pushing information to you. We'll be sending videos about how arrival and dismissal will look. We'll be sending updates. We'll be sending all kinds of information that we really want you to take the time to read through and watch, so that you'll be prepared along with us for the start of the school year. We also want to hear from you, and we always want to have an open dialogue with our families, and we are open to suggestions, we are open to ideas, we're open to concerns. We want to really hear it all so that we can see the big picture and continue to work in partnership with you. We are going to be counting on our families to help keep our whole school community safe. So one thing that we've been really pleased with this year with our summer program is that all the families involved in our summer program have been diligent with sticking to coming to school on time, being there during that arrival window so that the health check can happen and the child can enter the building on time. Families have been letting us know if they've had any health concerns, and families have also erred on the side of caution in keeping children home. If there's any concern that someone in the family may have been exposed to the coronavirus, or if there's any odd symptoms going on, our families have been fantastic in communicating with us right away, keeping the child home until whatever that concern is has passed, and then letting us know when it's over and how everything turned out. So we're going to be counting on all of you to continue that kind of partnership with us, and you can expect the same from us as well. If we have situations going on in the school that are concerning in regard to any kind of health concerns or safety concerns, we will let you know right away, and we will keep you updated until whatever the concern is has been resolved, and we'll let you know how it was resolved and that it's no longer a concern. So the family partnership and the community aspect at our school is going to be vital to our success this year. And then finally, as we're already doing, there will be constant and ongoing monitoring of the COVID-19 situation in our school community and in our broader Charleston community, West Virginia community, and of course, nationally as well. We will be monitoring all the guidelines from the CDC. We will be keeping in close contact with the health department and DHHR. We do have good contacts with those two groups who are very responsive to our questions. So there will be constant and ongoing monitoring by myself, by Beth, the board, the task force, and I'm sure all of you as well. So again, that goes back to the communication piece, and I do appreciate folks sending me updates they see when the governor makes announcements. I'm not always aware of that right that second, but I do hear from several families letting me know what's been announced, and that is really helpful, and I do appreciate it. So those are our kind of overarching guiding principles that we're always keeping in play and keeping at the forefront of all of our planning. Okay, so now we get to the part where I get to tell you what we are planning for the upcoming school year. And again, the things I share with you today are our plans as of today. Some things we know for sure, how they're going to go, and some things we're still working out. We still need to meet with the staff on some items. We're still exploring these other possibilities for facilities expansion so that we can spread out the children more. So some of the things you'll see here in our plans, I can't tell you for sure today how it will look on September 8th when school opens, but I can tell you what the possibilities are. So let's go forward with this. We have three basic plans for reopening of school. And first, before I get into these, I do want to reiterate that the school start date has been delayed by 3 weeks for us. So the earliest school will open for Mountaineer Montessori is on Tuesday, September 8th, which is the day after Labor Day. We are looking at extending our summer program a few weeks so that that can continue longer into the summer, since we know that a lot of you count on that for childcare and also your children's social and emotional development. So we're looking at that. I hope to have an answer really soon about the extension of Campusori. But our regular school year should start on September 8th, unless something changes between now and then. And it will start under one of these plans, A, B, or C. We will possibly have and hopefully have in-person learning for all levels. We're hoping that that would be 5 days a week for everyone. Again, this depends on what we're able to do to meet the social distancing requirements. So if we have in-person learning for all levels, there will still be some modifications to the way we normally do things. Just like we're doing in the summer program, we're going to be restricting who can come in the building during school. It will be restricted to only our staff and our students. There are rare occasions when a maintenance person would need to come and fix something. For instance, this summer, we had a situation with air conditioning in a few of our rooms, and that really did need to be fixed. And we can't really control when they come. We can ask, but we can't control. And so one of the gentlemen from the HVAC service needed to come in. He did wear a mask. We kept him away from the children and did everything we could to keep that distance. Occasionally that might happen. Other than that, we will not have visitors. We will not have observers. Parents will not be coming in the school building unless absolutely necessary. We will have some other modifications, such as keeping groups together, not mixing groups. So we're going to be having staggered playground times, staggered lunch and recess times, all those kind of things that we'll be working out with our scheduling so that we minimize the cross mixing of groups within the school. There will be other changes as well. I mentioned our health checks in the morning that we'll be having. We'll be constantly monitoring student and staff health. We'll have additional hygiene protocols that we've already got in place with our summer program, including more frequent hand washing, more frequent sanitizing and cleaning of surfaces. We're going to be figuring out how to approach the use of the Montessori materials in the classroom and what needs to be done there in terms of possibly ordering multiple materials for some items, possibly figuring out a sanitation schedule for other items. Those are the kind of things we still need to work out a little bit more with the teachers and staff as well. So the in-person learning for all levels will allow us to continue giving lessons in person and continue with all the wonderful work we do here at the school. And also there will be some modifications and some changes to our normal routines with that. In Plan B, we could have in-person learning for some levels while others are having remote learning. There's a couple of ways that this could come about. It could be that schools are closed in West Virginia or in our local area, but we may be able to remain open for some levels and some students under the umbrella of our child care licensing. We are a licensed child care center for ages 3 to 12. So it could possibly happen that schools could be closed, but we could remain open for some students. This is similar to what we're doing right now with our summer program, which is being run under our child care license. So that's a possibility. And it could also happen that we have a health situation or some kind of situation at one level or two levels where we would need to go to remote learning for that level or those levels, yet still remain in person for other levels. So that's kind of a flexible plan, responsive to what's happening at the time. And then finally, with Plan C, this would be a situation like we had in the spring where we would be engaged in remote learning for all levels. This would come into play if both schools are closed and we're not allowed to open as a school, or, schools are closed and childcare centers are closed. So in that instance, there would be no way for us to remain open for in-person learning for anyone. I'm hoping that it's a rare occasion that this would happen. The only other way this would happen is if we are needing to close down the school for a deep cleaning as a result of a positive COVID-19 test among our student body or our staff. So if we are needing to do that according to the health department guidelines, then there may be remote learning for all levels for that period of time during which we complete the deep cleaning and prepare the school to reopen. So as you can see, we're going to have to be a little flexible and pretty nimble in moving among and between these plans, and that is exactly what we plan to do. I can't say for sure how many times we'll be in Plan A versus Plan B versus Plan C, because there's still some variables going on right now, and there will continue to be through the school year. But our hope is that as much as we can, we will be providing the in-person learning for as many students as possible, as many days as possible, while still adhering to all the health and safety guidelines and requirements and recommendations from the CDC, Health Department, and DHHR. So I want to tell you a little bit of what you can expect from now to the start of the school year and beyond, and also talk about how we're going to succeed in making this a productive and positive year for the students, families, and staff of Mountaineer Montessori. There's several things you can expect from here going forward, and the first of those is communication. I plan to be in contact with you at least weekly from now to the start of the school year. There are so many variables at play with these situations and so many unknowns, and news is coming out every day. Recommendations are changing frequently. So I want to make sure and always stay in touch with you about what's happening at the school level and beyond that will impact the school year ahead. You can also expect, as I mentioned, there will be some changes to our typical way of doing things. And we will be communicating those as we head toward the school year. And the communication will include some videos, like I mentioned, about arrival procedures, what to do if you need to pick up your child from school, and so on. So since we will have so many changes to our typical way of doing things, we want to make sure we're constantly letting you know what those are and being really clear with how those are going to go. So that's another thing to expect. And you can expect that whatever we do, we'll be following CDC guidelines and the DHHR and Health Department guidelines and requirements for reopening schools. And I will say here also child care centers, because our PLUS program comes under the umbrella of the child care as well. So we have that support from those groups, which is wonderful to have, and we will always be following those guidelines. There are several things that need to happen in order for us to succeed with our plans. And the first of those is ongoing professional development, learning, monitoring. So as a staff, we are continuing with professional development. A lot of it right now is around how to do remote learning the best way possible in a Montessori way as well. There's going to be professional development around these new hygiene and cleaning procedures. There's going to be a lot of collaboration among our staff in terms of how are we going to schedule the staggered times for playground and lunch and specials and so on. And there's just going to be a whole lot of learning on all of our parts, and also monitoring the situation continually. Under preparedness, we will be able to be successful by being overly prepared. So we are ordering extra supplies. We are making sure we line up um, folks who can fill in for classrooms if the teacher needs to be out. We are communicating with you. We're getting everything prepared as best we can so that we will be ready to open when the time comes. Our summer program has given us a lot of good experience with these new hygiene and cleaning and sanitation protocols, and with the arrival and dismissal procedures and the staggering of times on the playground and so on. And so I'm really grateful to all of you who have sent your children to the summer program, and to Alicia for directing that program, because it's truly been invaluable for experience for us and getting kind of warmed up to these new ways of doing things. Again, we'll succeed with a lot of communication back and forth between us and you. And finally, family support. I've heard from many of you a lot of supportive emails and supportive comments about wanting to do all you can to help the school succeed in its reentry. And we are going to be counting on you for some things. So again, we'll be counting on you to yourself as a family follow all the health and safety guidelines to help keep our whole community safe. We'll be counting on you to be communicating with us over any concerns, health or otherwise, and those types of things. We're going to be asking some specific things of you as we go forward that can help the school get ready. Some supplies we're finding are really difficult to find. So we're going to be putting out a list of things that if you're out and about and shopping for your family and you see these things and they're enough for you to get some for the school too, we're going to ask that you do that and drop those off at the school. We'll be happy to reimburse you. We're just having a little difficulty getting some of the hard to find supplies. So things like that we'll be asking you for your support on, and we know we can count on you for that. So that is the conclusion of my presentation today. I hope it answered some of your questions. I know you may have other questions. And again, if you've taken any notes or you think of any comments that you'd like to share or questions that you have, please send them to me by email, and I'll just collect those. If there's some things that seem to be common themes or common questions, I can put those together in a response for my next communication. And so you can expect to hear from me again by next Monday, the 20th, and if not before. And then I might be sharing some of those things you can do to help us get prepared for the school year. And also I can give a presentation that answers any questions that I've received between now and then.